Alrighty, welcome in. I have with me today Melissa Vogel of the Bomb Life podcast. Now, not the Bomb Mom podcast. We learned that this is new rebranding, which is we're getting into more stuff, which is going to be great. Melissa is a trainer with 20 plus years experience, group fitness, online coaching, works with moms, has kind of had her own transformation journey from you said to fat to fit, back to fat, and then back to fit, like kind of run that gambit a little bit. And I was obviously a mom. So I'm excited to have Melissa on to kind of talk through particularly some of the mental side of it. As if you've listened to the podcast ever before, you know that's something that we dig a lot into, like how do we get out of our own way and be successful with this. So appreciate you coming on, Melissa.
Jeff, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here and talk to you about just everything you throw at me. Like I'm ready. Like, let's dive in.
Yeah. Let's do it. So talk to me a little bit about your story then. I think that's the place to start because you've kind of ridden the journey, it sounds like, of what a lot of moms have, which is like, hey, I've lost the weight before, but I wasn't able to keep it off. And so what happened that first time, and then what changed for it to maybe stick the last time, however many times it happened, before that, but what changed the last time for you?
Right. Well, what changed the last time for me, and that really took me in a whole different direction, is I finally let go of everything that I thought I knew and I had to do. And I thought I knew how to lose weight. I thought I knew how to build muscle, but that all worked for me when I was like 20, like before kids, or like when I had a baby and I was like, oh my God, I just popped a baby out 6 weeks ago and I'm totally fine. I had to like what? Literally, I'm not even kidding you, because I do acting and modeling too. I was modeling lingerie 6 weeks after my first kid. Like,
I mean, why not? Why would you not? Like,
duh.
it feels like the thing.
Yeah. And
that feels like a normal thing to do.
Yeah. I'd bring your baby to, the shoot, nursing in between. It's fine. That's what everyone does. But that time of my life was so like, no, I just got to do more cardio and I really need to cut back. I need to be on like this quote unquote diet. And fast forward, all these years, probably like 8 years, I was like, Melissa, wake up. What you were doing then doesn't work for you now, and you need to let it go. You need to retrain and re-forget everything. And I'm like, wait, but I have all these credentials and certificates and like knowledge, and I train people. I help people in the position that I'm in. And I had to really humble myself and just be like, you need to relearn you. You need to relearn who Melissa is and how your body is now that you've pushed out 3 very large babies. So that it was crazy.
We are also in the three kid club, but I did not push them out. So my wife did that experience. So I love that, because it's like what worked for you then doesn't necessarily work for you now. So what were, and I guess maybe this is the question, because I think oftentimes we go on this journey, because I had a similar one, which is like, hey, what I used to do doesn't work necessarily anymore. Or never really worked, but I just got lucky because I was 20 and could do whatever I wanted to.
There you go.
But what was how did you go about that process of like humbling yourself? Because I think that's oftentimes the challenge, is like, how do I come to terms with the fact that what I think I know doesn't actually work?
Right. I literally had this like on the ground, rock bottom, like literally rock bottom on the cement floor of my basement, because I'm from Michigan, moment of what are you even doing right now? Just crying. And it was after my third baby, and I had 70 pounds to lose. And she was, I don't know, she was probably like 8 months old by then, not a newborn. And I'm just pushing and trying to shove a square peg into a circle hole, and it wasn't working. And I'm like, I'm going to do P90X. Like, duh. Like that's what you do after you've had 3 kids and you're still, months, not a year. That's what you do. And I was in this position, mountain climbers, right? Where you're on your hands
Yeah.
and you're like planking, you're
Oh
running
yeah.
your knees in. And I had this moment where I like felt this like tapping, and it was legit. My stomach was so big, it was hitting the top of my thighs every time I ran my knee in. Yeah.
Oh
And
man.
that's a foreign thing for me and working out. I'm the
Yeah.
trainer, I'm the group fitness instructor. Like everyone looks up to me. And I had this moment. I'm like, what is that? And I'm like, oh my God, that's my stomach. And I lost it. I
Mm.
lost it. And I'll never forget sitting there on my bathroom floor, my basement floor. Probably cried in my bathroom floor too at some point.
Mm.
And I was just like, what are you doing? And I just had this like realization that you're literally down here punishing yourself right now. You're not doing this out of self love. You're not doing this to make yourself better. You're literally down here punishing yourself to get skinnier, to lose weight. Like, what's
Mm.
even your goal, Melissa? Are you trying to put on muscle? Because you know this isn't the way to do it. Are you really trying to just get like skinnier and get into jeans again? Because you know that's not really what you're after either. And you're down here being really, really mean to yourself. You're doing one of the hardest workouts possible, that you can get on like a
Yeah.
DVD at the time. And you're
Yeah.
just being mean. And all of this surfaced. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I realized at that moment, you are either going to stay on this path and just be like, you know what? This is my body now after having kids. I just have to accept it. Like, I'm a mom blob. Like, that's what I would call myself. I'm just a mom blob. Like, maybe I'll get into a tankini one day, maybe. But the bikini dream is
Mm.
done. Like, I'm either going to stay on that path and let all this go and just be like, this is life, or I'm going to figure this out. You're going to pick yourself up. You're going to learn from this and you're going to figure it out. And I sat there and I honestly didn't know which way to go. I honestly
Mm.
did not know, like, do I go path A or B? Because I don't
No,
really
that's
know
very
right now.
real. Yeah.
And lucky for
Yeah.
me, I chose path B and I picked myself up and I vowed from that moment on, I'm going to erase everything that I think I know about nutrition and diets and everything they taught me, to get my CEUs, my certification for my personal training. That's
Mm.
such a joke. I'm like, I'm going to forget it all. I'm going to forget everything that I think I know about that. And I'm going to start learning my body different. And I dove into resistance training in a completely different way. It wasn't that I didn't lift before. Now that was my focus. My focus before was cardio. I taught
Mm.
several classes a week, and my whole brain was like, if you don't sweat, it doesn't even count. You didn't even work out. And I had to rip that from my brain. So I had to flip everything with my nutrition, everything with my training, which was so foreign to me and so backwards. It was like brushing my teeth with my other hand or like putting my Apple Watch on my other wrist. It was so foreign to
Mm.
my brain.
When that moment of decision, because I want to go into the things that you did then, but I think that
Mm-hmm.
moment of decision is like not to be taken lightly, where because you were like there was a cost to that decision.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I have to be willing to humble myself and do all this, but it was like the comfort is with path A, right?
Oh,
What's
yeah.
easy, comfortable, convenient, and feels good was path A. So what in that moment, and maybe I know it was a little bit ago, but like what what was the driver for you, or do you see as the difference in clients as the difference between people who choose path like truly
Mm-hmm.
choose path B or people who say they want path B but aren't willing to give up path A?
Mm-hmm. I was at such a low point in my life. And I hate saying it, but rock bottom can be a beautiful thing. And unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
most people have to hit that in order to create massive change. And I hate that. I hate that that's like kind of the reality with humans, especially women, because it's super easy to live our life if we're comfortable enough. Like, I know I need to change, I should change, but there's really nothing making me change. We will stay there. We will stay in that spot. People won't change unless their current situation gets more scary than the thought of changing and the unknown. They will stay right there. And in that moment, it scared the crap out of me to stay in that position and to never, because I like had all these like life flashes, you know, like of the people that look up to me and that I would train, my kids. Like, do I want them to have a fit mom? Like, Melissa, what is your current situation with your energy level right now? Because your kids are just barely getting you. I was so burned out. I never recharged my battery. Like, that's who they were getting. Like, all these thoughts. I had to open my mind to everything at that very moment. And it probably happened within 5 seconds. But for me, it felt like 5 hours. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, it was my kids and taking care of my parents and where my relationship was at that moment. And I'm like, I'm hardly showing up for them because I'm not showing up for me. And if I stay on path A, that's my future. And then that's my legacy. That's what you're teaching your kids. You're going to teach your kids that like, okay, well, I guess this is just where we're at. This is just what we're doing. And I think that part and that piece for other people to realize, like, are you just staying here because it's comfortable right now and you don't have to change? Look at that. Really, really look at that and answer that question. And then also, like, who else is being impacted by your journey? You know, because us as parents, we're setting the stage for their future. Are we going to continue cycles? You know, if you're 38 years old and you're carrying an extra 45 pounds, what is your child going to be? Are they going to have the same struggles as you? Probably. Or they'll be worse off because now they're growing up with foods and an environment that was way worse than when we did. So they could be carrying your struggles at 25 versus 45 or 35 or 38. You know what I mean? It's going to hit them harder and sooner.
The cost of staying
Mm-hmm.
is, I think, the thing that a lot of people miss when they think about their goals. I think oftentimes people think about, or maybe even have good clarity about what they want, but it's forcing themselves out of the comfort of where they are, the desire for what I want, because it doesn't really exist to me. It's like
Right.
fictitious a little bit of like, what does it feel like? Like, you can't see, taste, touch, feel that. It's just like an idea. It's nebulous.
Mm-hmm.
The concept of I have to leave here is important, and establishing where you are and why you can't stay there. Like the analogy I give, so like you're in California, right? You said, and I'm in New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
But if I said, "Hey, come to my house," I have to know where in California you are, because you're going to get
Right.
very different directions from San Diego than you are from San Francisco. So we have to establish that point A, and also recognize like why you can't stay there, because it's not enough that you want to come across the country and come hang out. I don't know why you would, because California is much better weather than New Hampshire. But let's just say that you did, right? It has to be like, why do I have to leave? It's a little bit like New York City in March of 2020, when everybody was like, I got to get out of here or I'm going to
Yep.
die, sort of
Yep.
thing. It's like, I don't even know where I'm going, but I can't stay here.
Yeah.
And so, like, that, but that's a hard thing to like come to reality. And because you have to look in the mirror and
Mm-hmm.
come to grips with like exactly what you said. What is this costing me? And what is this costing the people around me for me to stay here? And is that a cost I'm willing to pay?
Bingo. Bingo. And people, and I get it. We live in a world of like just now, right? Like we live in this world of like instant gratification. We swipe, we want things now. I mean, we can pick up our phones, order something, and it's on our doorstep in hours, or something from across the country the next day. Like it's crazy. And then
Yeah.
we think that same box with like our fitness goals, you know, and we want it all right now, and we're just now focused. And when everything that you're talking about, like, you need to look bigger beyond this week or this month or this year. You need to look at big picture and what are you after? Because I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like I blinked and it was Christmas yesterday.
Oh, 100%.
And now we're entering and getting close to summer. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's how fast and how precious this life is. You get one life, and how do you want to do it? You know, and what legacy do you want to use? And you brought up another good point too, of like traveling to another location, of
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I know where I want to go. If I'm going to come out and see you, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
But really getting down to know who you want to become, or what we're talking about, where you want to go, like that
Yeah.
exact address, that is huge. And that was part of my like decision-making moment on my basement floor of like, who do you really want to become? And when I asked myself that, I didn't even know. I would just be like, I don't know. I know I need to lose this much weight, and
Yeah.
that's, I run into that all the time too. You probably do too. Oh, I just want to be
Yeah.
30 pounds lighter. I need to lose 30
Why?
pounds. Okay. Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
What's driving you?
Yeah.
And who is that person? Like, do you even know how to be someone that was in the 160s and now you're going to be in the 130s? Do you even know how to be that person? And there's so much change that has to happen with that. And I came up with the whole from my path A from path B moment.
Yeah.
When I train clients, I'm telling them who you are right now, that's your person A. Who you want to become is your person B. We need to get to know that person B, that address. Where are you going? Because if you don't, you'll just go wherever. You'll never end up at the ultimate goal that you're after, ever. You'll just, it's like using Google Maps or Waze. That blue squiggly line it'll follow you all over the place. It'll be a
Yeah.
beautiful mess, but
Yeah.
you'll never go anywhere. You need to get really clear on who you want to become, what's that address, and why. Why am I even coming to visit you? There better be a good reason. We better be having a party.
Yeah, for sure. There would have to be a good reason. I think that there's something to that as well, in that I think oftentimes the why do you want to become that person? I think that oftentimes it's the grass is greener situation, where people
Yes.
think that they want. So I talked about this the other day, and you'll appreciate this because I know that you have had some posts go. So I had a post go viral over the weekend. I've never had a post go, and it's gone nuts, and
Ooh.
it's like kind of adjacent to what it is. But I talked about it the next day, which I do, like, my life goal is to turn everything into a fitness lesson. So like 6 lessons about going viral.
Love
But
it.
the idea was, like, everybody thinks that when they come on social media, like, I want to go viral. And it's like, I mean, maybe, but why? And what do you want out of it? And the grass isn't always greener, because the way that I like to do social media, I've always had a smaller following. I message everybody who follows me. I reply to every single comment. I can't do that at this volume, because
Right.
it's just, there's too many things. And so I can't do it the way that I want to do it. And so when people think about, or I want to be 130, or I want to look like XYZ person, I'm sure that there are people who are like, I want to look like you. And you're like, well, do you? Because do you want to do what I do to look like me? Because
Yes.
you might not be willing to do it. Like the example that I always give is like Zac Efron in Baywatch, right? Like
Right.
carved from granite, and it's like, dude, you know what Zach had to do? Like, I would
Oh my
never do
God.
that.
No.
I would never do it. Like, I have no desire and so, like, I don't want that more than I want this. And so you have to figure out that specific address, and it's oftentimes not what you think it is,
Right.
because it's really about, what does this allow you to do? And so you got to go one step further. Like, why 130? Like, what would that allow you to do? And it's getting clearer on the why behind the why, because I think a lot of people think, oh, I want to lose the weight, and they're like, I want to lose the weight to feel more confident. Well, what does more confident look like? Like, we got to go a step or two further,
Right.
than maybe we've always done, because it's always been like, oh, I got to lose weight so that I can be more confident, so that I can fit in my clothes. Well, why does that matter to you? Like, where is that? How is that impacting your life? And how would it impact the 2.0 versions of you, that person B? How would that impact their life to walk into the closet and just pull anything out and wear it and feel confident?
Yeah. And it's so crazy because, like, most people, they don't know the answers to this. And then they think that, just losing the weight is going to give them all the answers and they're just going to be this person. They don't realize, like, you have to literally have this identity shift to get there. And then once you get there, you have to learn how to be that person and maintain it. Like, and that life has to change. That's why so many people, have you ever seen it on, I'm sure you've seen it on like Facebook, and people are holding the sign and they're like, I lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks for all the camps. I don't know if you guys have camps
Yeah.
out there. We got all this.
I've seen the
Yeah.
signs for sure.
And like, it's like 95% of the people end up gaining it back.
Yeah.
And they
And
don't
more.
even, and more, exactly. And they don't even know how to be who they are in that body. They don't know how to act. And that's why it's so important to, like, take it slow and to know what's fueling you. Because along that journey, you are going to get stopped so many times. Like your kids are going to get sick. Everyone's going to have pink eye. The car is going to need new tires. Like the dishwasher is going to explode. Like there's going to be so many things that halt, especially like a mom and like our journey. Like it's just crazy. And you have to be able to pull out your why. Why are you going to keep going? Okay. You got everything settled. You could actually go to the gym right now and you don't want to. Pull out that why. What's your fire? Because then you read it and I have everyone write it down too. Because I'm like, if you read that and it doesn't move you, it's not strong enough. That's not it. That's not it. But yeah, there's a whole process in getting there and then having it stick and the identity shift that has to happen. But Jeff, like no one's teaching this. No one's teaching this process. I have teenage girls and the things that we talk about in our discussions, like my daughter said to me the other day, she's like, no one talks about this in school, Mom. She's like, my coaches don't even say things like this, and the mindset that has to come along with performance. And it's just, it's mind boggling to me that we're so limited, and then people get so just comfortable in their life and then they like to complain and then they start wishing, well, I want to be like you and I would be like, I want to do this. And I'm like, do you?
I don't know if you do.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't know if you do. Well, that's because you talked about like the immediacy piece of it, and I think that that's part of it is like the desire for results now versus results. And so like that's where those transformation things, like they're inherently flawed because you have to do something to get there that you wouldn't be willing to do after the fact. And so you never learned how to, like most people don't need a weight loss plan. They need a weight loss maintenance plan. Like you need the skills to maintain that. And so thinking about that person B version of it, how is it that, like, let's get super tactical with this, because I think oftentimes people are like, all right, what do I need to do in order to lose the weight? And you're like, well, the mechanics, the math on it's the math, right? Like you need to be in a calorie deficit, you need to eat protein, you help that by strength training and walking and getting good sleep and managing your stress. Like the mechanics are the mechanics and nobody's reinventing the wheel. Anybody who's saying that they're reinventing the wheel is selling something that's probably full of garbage. So the math is the math on it. The challenge is doing it and doing it for a long enough period of time through lifing, as you talked about, like life is going to life. And so how do we navigate that? And so coming back to the, like, how do we kill, as you talked about, the need for immediate satisfaction?
You have to learn to love just the process of it. And you have to learn too that the other work, like the mindset work, the mental stuff, even like the nutrition, I'll put in that category. That should
sexy.
be your no, not at all. That should be your main focus, not the body. The body will come, it will happen. And it's so beautiful when people can let that go for a minute and just focus on getting stronger in here, having harder conversations, having the mental strength and confidence and self-love. Because when you start increasing all of that and you do all of that, you don't miss a workout. Like, are you kidding me? I love myself so much. I'm not eating pizza. I'm not going to miss this workout. I'm too good for that. And that's okay. Again, another thing that's not taught, that self-love and confidence at all. But that part and working on that first, and maybe going to therapy, start journaling, meditating, that will lead you to a smaller waist and a booty and a six pack. Like, people don't say those things and they don't make that connection. They just think, oh, I just need more reps. I just need more sets. I need to eat more salad and stuff. But working on the inside part, and that could even just be reading a really good book, like a great self-development book or an audio book, that alone. But when you can get into a place where every day you're giving yourself like a dose of something, like reading a book, listening to something positive, start changing who you are every day. without stop, then you can add in the physical. Now you're walking every single day, but you have to start training your brain to think, act, and be a whole different person through this process. And people don't. They just want the workout. I just want to go to a class. I don't want to think. I just want you to tell me what to do. And they're missing that. And it's huge. That's why when I created my program, I was like, I'm not doing this one-on-one stuff training people anymore, because as soon as they leave my gym, they're eating whatever they want. My job was to kick their ass for 45 minutes or an hour while they were there.
Yeah. And then they go bastardize it for the other 23 hours of the day.
Exactly. And I'd get people results, but then like when we stopped training, it was done. And I'm like, this is so messed up. I am part of the problem. Oh my God, I am part of the problem. And that's why I formed this group, and I bring them all together now. So then when people are slipping, we have each other to bounce off of. And I am a client of my own just as much as they are my clients. And I utilize them. I'm slipping. I need help. And I go live in there. So I'm feeding the audio part and they see me. And then they have their workouts. So we're doing the physical part. We're posting pictures of our food and sharing all of that. And we're sharing the good times with the bad times. Like that piece of coming together helps that daily like push and drive. Oh yes, this is what I'm doing. Okay. And you take it one day at a time. One day at a time.
I did a whole episode that I said where the thesis statement is you have to fall in love with the process, not the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what you're talking about, which is it's incredibly difficult though. Like I 100% agree with you, but it is so counter to how we operate. And I think it's one of the things that, and I would love your take on this as a mom, because I think that parenting forged this in me, where immediate satisfaction almost doesn't exist in parenting. Like you have to, like, because there's no outcome. There's no end date. Like my parents are still my parents, and I still go to my parents and they're still parenting me as an adult, and they're helping me parent my kids. And there's no end date. There's no outcome. There's no completion. Oh, I did it. It's all process, because it's all journey with them. It's like there's going to be hard and there's going to be good, and we have to celebrate the good and navigate the hard. But like, how do we translate that skill that almost is like, because it's less of it's the skill part of it, I think, for sure. But I think it's also the fact that the outcome is like, it's you're forced into the fact that it's process oriented, because there's no end date. But we've been ingrained with, in fitness, there is an outcome.
Yes.
There's a goal. And so it's, I think, really detaching ourselves from the outcome maybe helps with us embracing the process piece of it. But how do we detach from the outcome or counter the thing that we've been inundated with and we're still inundated with? I did a goofy post about it a couple days ago that was like all the stuff that you're seeing, your ads right now, I'm sure, of like ladder. It's like, bro, give me 8 weeks and I'll get you shredded for the summer, like 45 minutes a day, And it's just a shirtless dude working out. And like, dude, you haven't been out of shape in a decade. Like, what are we talking about? And I did a goofy thing spoofing that, because it's like, no, you don't need another 12-week program. But like, how do we counter the fact that this is the messaging that we have, which is like, now, faster, do it.
Right.
With this particular thing that is, because with parenting, I think some of the messaging is it's about the journey and the days are long, but the years are short. And there's a little bit of that community with it. And so maybe it is the community having the support, but how do we counter that outcome oriented now focus?
There's two statements. I make one statement to my clients all the time, like daily, with my one-on-one clients and with my kids. And I tell my clients all the time, this is just what you do now. This is just who you are now.
Yep.
All the time. And with my kids, I'm always telling them, this is what we do. Like, you're a Vogel. Like, this is just what we do. We don't go to McDonald's. Like, that. Like, this isn't what we do. We don't do that. And I'm like, yeah. It is ingrained in my children through my parenting, how we are, how we think, how we act, what we eat. They know. And with my clients, from the moment they start, I'm already telling them, and this is something that anyone listening can start doing too, is start telling your brain and training your brain, this is what I do now. This is the new me, and there is no end date. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
You know,
I
when you're
love that.
65, you're going to have to figure this out. When you're 85, you're going to have to figure this out. Like, this is just what you do. I have a client right now coming up on a cruise. She's down like 2% body fat in just a matter of like 8 weeks. And like, I think she's down almost 10 pounds, and she's got a cruise coming up. And she's like, I'm really worried. I'm just going to be honest, you know, like, I'm probably going to be like doing naughty things on the cruise ship. And I'm like, okay, but you're also going to show up to that cruise now as a different version of you. This is the new you going on the cruise. And she was just like mind blown. She's like, oh my God. And then her name's not Stacy, but I'm just going to say Stacy.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm excited to see new Stacy on a cruise before. I'm like, yeah, because your ass is going to be finding the gym right away. You're going to be finding the track. You're going to go find this gym, and you're going to get that done early in the morning. And then that's going to affect your decisions that you make later in the day, you know, and knowing that you're going to have to get up and do it again in the morning the next day. But then you have room for fun and balance. And she's like, you're right. I'm like, this is the new you. This is just what you do for the rest of your life now, whether you're with me or when you're not with me. She's like, oh. And one of the worst things that you can do is get in shape for a wedding or a vacation or a photo shoot. Having end goals like that, it's horrible for your brain. And so many people right now, because of the season that we're in, I don't know when this will air, but the season that we're in, everyone's getting ready for summer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you know that more people gain weight over the summer than they do the holidays? Mm. Your focus needs to be, what the hell am I going to do during the summer to stay in shape and do everything? But, you know, we're out for parties and barbecues, and we're on the boat, and every single weekend it's something, and picnics and fun.
Yeah.
Oh, Jeff.
So that we don't, it's, how do we do this so we don't have to do this again next spring?
Exactly.
Like, can we not have the same conversation over and over again? So like you tell that story, and I have a similar, like a slightly different thing, but it's the idea of like, hey, we took the cap off of this. So I had a client who, she'd been trying to lose weight for, I don't know, a decade, like a long time, you know, and you know, she like sent me like every time she restarted on MyFitnessPal, and her weight was, you know, 10 pounds up every, you know, 9 months or something like that. And so we were working together, and it was like 9 months in, and she was like, she knew everything, right? She researched everything, you know, she followed a gajillion accounts. She listened to every podcast. Like, this was like her hobby, and she wasn't being successful with it. And she sent me a message. She works in Seattle, but she's like an hour outside the city. And so she works for Amazon. So she had to drive into the city to go into the office. And she said, I've done this drive more times than I can count. And every single time on this drive, I've listened to a fitness podcast or a nutrition podcast or a self-help podcast. Want to know what I listened to this morning? A sports podcast. Because I didn't need to listen to it anymore. Because I know what I'm doing. Because I don't need more information. I just need to keep doing what I've been doing. Mm-hmm. And so now, because her entire identity, this is the flip on it, her entire identity had been about losing weight. Like her entire maybe not her entire identity, but her entire relationship with fitness and with nutrition had been about losing weight for a decade. Jeez. And so to be able to depart from that and get into a place where it's like, I can have an interest that isn't this. And so I can go on a cruise and I can enjoy myself and have fun and have a life, but not feel guilty about it because it's part of who I am. Like, I can go and have fun. I can work out. I can also lay out and feel confident. I can also have a drink and feel fine about that, because I'm not going to have 12 drinks and have it turn into my entire personality for the week and then come back and either try to kill myself when I come back from the trip, Stacy, right? Come back from the trip and try to do P90X again. Or I come back and I'm on a bender for 3 months because that was the catalyst that went in the other direction.
Exactly.
Because who I am now is the person who just goes right back to it. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah. That knowledge piece it just makes me laugh, because everyone just is like, tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. And I'm like, with YouTube and TikTok and all the things, the information out there is free. Like
Yeah.
you can Chat GPT, I mean, you can tell anything to give you a workout plan and what
Yeah.
to eat or how to get in a caloric deficit. Like I had someone tell me the other day, like, did you know that you could tell Chat GPT to tell you a diet plan to follow to lose, 10 pounds? I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, duh. You could probably find that anywhere before that. Now it's just easier to get it, but that's not going to make you show up. That's not going to make
Yeah.
you meal prep or eat the right foods or do anything. Like, that's not what we need. We don't need any more information or something else telling us what to do. We need to learn how to be consistent. We need to learn how to be dedicated. And then once you get those two things mastered, you need to learn how to have intensity and purpose,
Mm.
because
Mm.
I'm sure you've seen this before too. How many people do you see start showing up, or you can walk by a gym and see all these people working out and walk by that same gym, all the same people 6, 8 months down the road, and they look exactly the same. And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm sure there's multiple things doing wrong, but like that intensity that never changes. They do the same thing over and over again. I'm like, God, talk about going insane.
Yeah. Well, and that's the same cycle of like I lose the weight, I gain it back.
Exactly.
Every spring I try to do this thing. I do a challenge every whatever. And yeah, the idea of taking the cap off of it and be like, there is no end date. Like I'll stop when I'm dead. Like
Exactly.
that's the idea. But that comes, I think, through, and I'm curious your thoughts on this, because people oftentimes, I think there's an interesting piece of it with this new identity where it's like, okay, I have a new identity, and I'm sure you know of Alex Hormozy, right? But the
Mm-hmm.
idea of like his like one of his most famous quotes is the like confidence is not born from shouting affirmations in the mirror. It's having an undeniable stack of evidence that you are who you say you are.
Right.
Like
I
basically, you
love
keep
that.
the promises you make to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I think that, and I'm curious your take on this. What comes first, the identity or the action? And I think they're cyclical. I think they feed on each other. But I'm curious, kind of when you have somebody that comes in who has done this for forever, do we need to change the identity, or do we start with some action that person would do, and then that identity forms over time? Because obviously, it's going to form as you do it more and more.
Right. For me, the action and the proof of getting someone to go through the motion and do things, that's what's going to get you there, because that's
Yeah.
not just going to happen overnight by itself. I love there's a quote from Tony Robbins. I'm pretty sure it's him. It's not me. And I love it. And he says that progress equals motivation,
Yeah.
right? And I love that because the progress came from activity, and
Yes.
that activity created some progress, and that progress is what changed the brain to feel motivated.
Yes.
The motivation didn't come first from like, oh my God, I watched this TikTok and now I feel like great. Like that is so like chewing gum and losing the flavor within the first couple of minutes. That just
Mm-hmm.
comes and goes. But yeah,
Yeah.
that activity, that's like putting in the reps. That's like if you're doing a
Yeah.
bicep curl and you're putting in that rep, that's what grows that muscle. That's what's going
Mm-hmm.
to change the dynamic and the structure of that bicep. It's the same with our identity. Those activities and those actions are what going to shape that, and
Yeah. Oh, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, the way action leads to results, results lead to motivation, motivation leads to further action. Like that's
mm-hmm,
the cycle of it. Like we take action, and that we take action based on the identity of who we want to be. Like what would that person do? But I have to do that even though I'm not yet that person. Like the example that I give, and I'm sure you
exactly.
feel this as a parent. Like remember the first time you changed your kid's diaper for your kid? You're like, this is I didn't like I looked at my kid, I'm like, I know you're my kid, but I don't feel like your dad yet. Like, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not but like you do it over and over and over again, and you drive 5 miles an hour on the way home, and you stay up all night checking if they're breathing. And you just do a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of dad stuff, you do a bunch of mom stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've become mom. But
Yeah.
like you have to do it in the absence of feeling like that's who you are, and you become that person through doing the action over and over again. And so Stacy on the cruise, like she can say that for sure. Like this is not like this version of me is coming here because I have this undeniable stack of evidence that this is who I say I am.
Right. Exactly. And she almost didn't like start when she started. And I'm
Oh
like, aren't you
yeah.
glad you took action? Aren't you glad now
Mm.
you're going on this cruise, this person now? And she's like, oh my God, you were right. And that's why people are always like, should I wait? Should I, and I'm like, no, because even when this event is stopping, I have someone moving from like Utah to Miami. And
Yeah.
she's like, maybe I should wait, maybe we should start coaching or training or I should do this, when I move there. And I'm like, what makes you think life is going to slow down once you live there?
I still have boxes I haven't unpacked from when we moved 3 years ago. Like, I'll let you know when I'm settled.
Right? I'm like, no, the time is now. It will never be
Yeah.
perfect. Well, I have the
Yeah.
surgery coming up. So I have this coming up. So
Mm-hmm.
train your brain. And guess what? If you can do all of this while you have like major life events happening or, a surgery coming up and you work through all that, if you can do that now, oh my God, think of how much more powerful and productive and, efficient and results that you're going to get when life is like kind of chill,
It's going to be easy.
It's going to be so easy. And
Yeah.
you get to experience it easy and you'll
Yeah.
appreciate we're going to put easy in quotes, but you're going to
Yeah.
appreciate the easy.
Yeah. Yeah. The work is still the work, but it's going to feel easy because you did it when it was hard. And then you're going to know when you did it when it was hard, right? Like if you only can do it, like that's where, like we're coming on the heels of, I'm sure that you had people who like did the New Year's resolution thing and they might have actually gotten great results from January to March. And I'm like, you want to know why you got great results from January to March? Because nobody does anything from January to March. It's a terrible time of year. There's nothing happening from January to March. There's no holidays. There's nothing to do. The weather's trash. You had nothing else to do but get in shape. You know what's coming? Fun. Fun is coming. Fun is coming. And if you don't know how to navigate, oh, I'm going to my friend's barbecue, and figure out how to enjoy yourself without like derailing everything, then you are doomed to have to do this again next January.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're just on the same cycle over and over again. So yeah, jump when you don't want to, and when you don't feel like it, that's when you need to.
Yeah. And can we just add in too that for any of the parents listening, that your kids are watching this. They are seeing you start and stop, or say you're going to, or live this unsatisfied life. And that is their example for life. That is what's teaching them how they function in society, how they hit personal goals. Like the amount of conversations I've had with my kids, just my daughter just last night, she's off at college. One of them's off at college. And she's like, yeah, my roommate went to the gym. And she's like laughing. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, she said she was going because her mom was making her. And we both know what mom is. And she's like, I just have a hard time swallowing that, Mom. I'm like, I know. And she's like, she's telling her what to do, yet we know that she's not doing it herself. I'm like, and I don't think parents realize how much you are taking away your, I don't know, like I want to say authority and power, but it's just like, that's not even that. Credibility. Yeah. You're just, God, you're going to have such a stronger relationship with your kid, and they're going to look up to you when they're an adult, and they need it even more if you work on you and you become someone fully that they can trust and follow and love, if you are the best version of yourself.
I think maybe where to wrap this up is, I think along those lines, because I think that you'll have a strong opinion on this. So I'm going to serve this up to you, and I want to let you kind of rip on this to finish. I think you and I will agree on this, that taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's actually selfish not to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of moms, and I'll say this maybe stronger than is appropriate, but I think it's still fairly true, use their kids as an excuse. And I think excuse is a strong word, but I think it might be accurate for why they can't take care of themselves. And I think that is the very reason that you need to.
Yeah. I mean, would we ever say, like, the thing. Like, well, I'm 20 pounds overweight and I'm unhappy and healthy because of you guys, and say that to your children. Like, we never, most of us never
Yeah.
would. I mean, I'm sure there's some psychopaths out there that would, but like,
Yeah.
that's essentially what you're saying. When you are blaming your kids, well, we have sports and we have activities and we have all of these things that we're doing. There just isn't any time. Well, your kid is your reason why. Like, they should be your why in so many other different ways. And we don't realize, again, going back to that recharging of the battery, when you aren't rested, when you didn't make time for yourself, when you told everyone, like, hold on, I'm so happy you're home from school, but now tag team, other parents taking over, and I'm going to the gym. You don't realize when you don't do that, you are just a raging psychopath sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's the version of your children that they're getting. And that's not fair. And then that seeps, if you're married and you're in a relationship, that seeps into your relationship and your sex life and how you speak to each other, and your kids are watching that. It's everything. When you take care of yourself, it just trickles down into everything. And you are doing your family and your kids and your parents a disservice. If you're a boss, your employees, you are doing them a disservice by not caring for yourself. And to me, that's selfish right there. We chose to have this family. We chose the life that we have and that we're living. And it's not fair that they get second best all the time. Boom, mic drop. I said it.
Yeah. No, I knew you. I was like, she's going to go with this. And I thought that would be a great. So, I mean, obviously, I think you and I could chat for a long time.
Hours.
I think that we're aligned on a
we
lot
could,
of
Jeff.
this stuff. Yeah. Well, we'll do it another time for sure. So, give people a chance for, if they want to connect with you, how they can do that so that you can connect with Melissa and kind of hear more of what she has to do.
Yes. Well, I have the podcast, the Bomb Life podcast, previously known as the Bomb Mom podcast, and we did a big switch over. You guys can follow me on Instagram. It's Melissa Vogel. And then my website has like all of my information. It's melissavogelfitness.com.
Awesome. I'll put all of that down in the description so you can check
Awesome.
that out and go follow Melissa. But Melissa, I really appreciate you being on. I love the perspective of what you bring. And again, I think that maybe it's for anybody who's been listening for a while, like maybe it's nice to hear another voice say a lot of the same stuff that I've been saying. And if you're new here, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you listening. Do all the things that you do with podcasts, like, rate, subscribe, and all of that. And if you ever have any questions about any of this, feel free to reach out to Melissa or myself on Instagram. Is probably the best place to do that. But
it's great.
Appreciate you listening. And thanks so much for coming on, Melissa.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.